Hi, welcome to Circle Time Magazine. I'm one of your hosts, Dawn Williams.
And I'm Virginia C., and we're excited to have you with us. Circle Time Magazine is a professional development talk show for early childhood educators. This is a time for us to gather and have a circle time of our own.
Yes. We love the idea of doing this with early childhood educators because we wanted to provide a talk show format so there's an opportunity to collaborate, hear from each other. On the show, we'll hear from lots of different guests who will come on and share their expertise with us.
Absolutely. And in our current work, we are partnering with the Department of Early Learning, supporting the Early Achievers program through data collection, research, evaluation, coaching, and professional development. We're both instructors in the Early Childhood and Family Studies courses and PhD students still pursuing our degrees at the University of Washington. And we recognize how important it is to have a space just for educators to share what they love about teaching and learning and learn practical activities you can use in your everyday work with young children.
That's right. So in our previous experience has brought us to this place. I started out as a teacher and I still love getting into the classroom as much as I can.
Me too,
right?
Love it.
Oh, it's the best. And then I was working for the Head Start Training and Technical Assistance System as a disabilities and educator coordinator and traveled around to lots of different Head Start programs in Washington, Oregon, Alaska, and Idaho. And it was such a great experience to see how Head Start programs do early childhood in many different locations across the region.
How wonderful. And I actually started my journey as a volunteer in a Head Start classroom.
Oh, me too.
Really?
Yes.
That's so wonderful. And then I slowly became a lead teacher in a classroom in actually the same community that I grew up in.
Aww.
And I love my work now because it's on a larger scale and I get to make a bigger impact.
That's beautiful. So on this season of Circle Time Magazine, we are focusing all on math. And just the way that we've laid the foundation for how important social emotional development is, how important literacy is, we need to do those same things for math.
Absolutely.
So on this episode in particular, we're going to have several guests join us to talk all about number sense.
And our 4 objectives for this episode are to learn more about why early childhood math is important. We are also going to learn that math is more than counting, and there are some helpful concepts to help educators understand how to foster number sense in young children. Thirdly, we want to develop a better sense of what number sense is for infants, toddlers, and preschoolers. And finally, talk about what it means to mathematize. Next, we'll have Dr. Soleil Boyd, Director of Coaching and Professional Development. Her research focuses on early childhood math, so we're very excited to have her on and share her expertise with us. Hi, Soleil.
Hi, Virginia.
Thank you so much for being here to talk with us about math.
My pleasure.
Yeah, we're so glad to have you with us today because we wanted to talk to you about how young children are starting to understand number concepts.
Great, yeah. It's a really important topic.
Yes, it is. So what's happening for infants?
Well, yeah, infants, it's really interesting because infants are really born almost innately wired to notice quantities and amounts. Same ideas happening. Of course, we know toddlers, more is one of their favorite words.
Oh, yes.
Right? So
Yes, what's mine is mine, what's yours is mine, it is all mine.
Yes. Yeah. Also, that's a category, you know, so mine and yours. That's another math skill. Yeah. But also more and less. That's a really fundamental math skill related to quantity and measurement. And what's key about toddlers is all along they've been hearing words, right? Hopefully we're giving them that word bath. Infants, toddlers, preschoolers are getting lots of rich language. Now in the toddler years, they're really matching the language to mathematical experiences and ideas. So we might start hearing children count or at least use count words, maybe in no particular order or in an order really particular to them. 1, 3, 4, 2, you know, they're just using the words. And that's, really appropriate.
So then what happens with preschoolers?
Right, so it continues and they become a little more accurate in, like I said, number word use. So now we start really seeing and expecting children to use numbers and the words in the correct order. And then, you know, for example, understanding that each object gets one number word, 1, 2, and I'll come back to that later. But so that's kind of the progression when it comes to this idea of quantity, language, and accuracy from infancy through preschool.
So preschoolers might be more accurate. They're going to be saying more words and being able to identify them a little bit better.
And counting higher, right? And so we can also reasonably or usually expect preschoolers to count up to 20 with some accuracy and usually beyond. And it really depends on their experiences. So how often do they get to count? How often are number words modeled for them? And how often do they have lots of interesting things to practice with?
So it seems deeper than just saying 1, 2, 3, like being able to repeat it rotely or even to identify these and like count them in a row. It seems deeper, a little bit more complicated than that.
Yeah, I would say there are several aspects of number skill that it's important for us to be aware of as adults, as teachers, and for children. So there is the number order, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a lot of children learn how to rote count that, as you said, and that's fine. We want them, that's vocabulary. Good, you've got your vocabulary.
Absolutely.
Good. So number sequence does matter with words. Now, in addition though, we want them to master some other skills, especially throughout preschool. One of them is one-to-one correspondence. I touched on that earlier. And that is just knowing that each object gets one and only one count. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That is corresponding the word, the count, to the object. Now, earlier, some children may kind of correspond their own way.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 4. They are kind of applying the word to the idea, but not accurately and not with one-to-one. In addition, we also have cardinality. And what cardinality means is that you know that the last thing you counted represents the whole set. 1, 2, 3, 4. How many are there? 4. 4 represents this count. Earlier, children may not quite get the meaning of counting, actually. Why am I doing this? And they just count again if you ask them. How many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4. How many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4. Right. They just do. They're like, I counted it. So they're still building up to cardinality.
Okay.
Yeah, and then there's also subitizing. Subitizing just means suddenly. So it just means I can look at this and suddenly go 4. Or you two could look at it suddenly and go 2. Or suddenly say
3.
There, it's easy because you don't count, right? And it's a nice device. It's actually to save time. And so children are developing that skill as well, and hopefully subitizing somewhat larger sets over time. But of course, at first, they could easily subitize 1, 2, and so on. And so that's, we wanted them to have opportunities to visually be able to look and quickly understand and identify the number of a set.
It's like fluency for 4-year-olds.
Yeah, and it saves you time. So later, as children do things like combine and separate sets, they don't have to count everything once. They can look quickly and go, 2 sets of 2. And that might help them in thinking about, okay, that's a whole set of 4. And so combining and separating is probably one of those skills also that we want to see at the preschool age. At least they're getting lots of practice with that.
So it makes me think about addition and subtraction.
Exactly. It is addition and subtraction. That's why it makes you think of that. And I think it's important to think of it, though, in terms of sets and in terms of really physical objects. A lot of time, addition, subtraction makes us think of plus, minus, equal on paper. And really, addition and subtraction is just combining things or separating things in different ways. Something preschoolers do and can do all the time.
Like plus and minus are a symbol. Like minus is a line. How is that how is that meaningful? Exactly.
Well, and it becomes meaningful when you have lots of practice doing it with real objects. And then you can say later, you know what, we could write it with this symbol. And that's actually another skill that we want for preschoolers, is to understand the symbols that go with the numbers. So 3 is represented by a numeral 3, right? So that's also some language and literacy and numeracy matching there to match amount or quantity with a word and also with a written symbol.
Wow, that's really interesting. So it's really the concepts that we're wanting to teach children and then kind of helping them understand it with some labeling afterwards. But that's the most important.
Absolutely, yeah. All their experiences with the physical world are then related to language and then can be related to written or visual symbols.
And I love that you used oranges because that represents that you can use math anytime in the day. I mean, this is great for snack time. If you opened one of these up, you could talk about the segments within one.
Division, I mean, yes. Yeah, there's a million opportunities. Yeah, it's great.
That's so great.
Well, speaking of another way to practice, there are lots of apps out there that can help you do some math, and maybe you do it at home. Maybe it's something you suggest that parents can do at home. You could do it in the classroom as well as ways to practice, not necessarily to teach the concepts, but as ways to practice and give some more opportunities to do that. So there's this one that we have here, First 8 Studios. They are a research-based organization that developed a series of early childhood math apps, and there's a bunch of them all under Gracie and Friends. They're really, really cute. But this one helps you subitize. So here, we see Gracie, and you drag her down to the table of 1, and then you can visually see the ones going by. So you just move that up there, and you are getting to an opportunity to subitize. But then we have some different sets here. So then if I move our friends down to 1 goes to 1 and 2 goes to 2, so I'm getting some correspondence here. Here, this will actually self-correct. So if I moved this 1 over here to this 2, it'll tell me, oh, not quite the right thing, but you have another chance to do it. And as the game goes by, they start moving faster and faster and faster. So it's just great practice and a helpful little app.
I love it. And also the self-correction.
Yeah.
Such a great way to help kids, notice when they're accurate, not accurate, which is part of developing those numeracy skills, especially in preschool.
Thanks for that, Soleil. Soleil is going to stay with us as we head into our next segment, which is all about teacher practices. The strategies, your teaching moves, all the ways that you try to deliver instruction in the classroom, and we will be sharing some strategies that'll help you do that for math.
So in this next teacher practice segment, we're going to be talking about a few strategies you can use in your classroom. So the first one is this word mathematizing that we've heard about. What is it?
Mathematizing is a great word, and that's a great question. So it's a long word, but what mathematizing means is to bring out the math in what children are doing by commenting, providing language, some parallel talk. So it's really just talking about the natural math around what children are doing.
That's awesome. And what suggestions do you have for teachers to start mathematizing in their classroom?
Right. I mean, there's so many opportunities throughout the day for mathematizing. So it could be just with infants, for example, counting their fingers or toes, their feet or their little nose, right? I wasn't trying to rhyme, but I did. Yeah. So, just counting, and it can be really fun, and it's about their little body, right? So something they're very familiar and aware of or becoming aware of. And with toddlers, it may be outside on the playground. So maybe talking about how fast they're running or how slow they're walking or how high they're climbing or how quickly they're sliding. So this is really coupling math language with this physical movement that we know toddlers are always engaged in.
Yeah.
And then maybe for preschoolers, it could be like that, or maybe in the block area. So mathematizing, really talking about the shapes, the three-dimensional shapes in the block area. Or you're building a tower with cylinders stacked on top of each other. You have all the cubes lined up in a row. You're creating a pyramid out of blocks. So this is really bringing out some different three-dimensional and also, of course, the two-dimensional shapes. So we're just combining language with experience for young children.
Great.
At any learning opportunity you can think of.
Yeah, I mean, all day there's always something you could be mathematizing.
We actually have an example of a video here where a teacher is changing a diaper in an infant room. Diaper changing happens multiple times a day. It's guaranteed to come. So why not think of how you mathematize it? Check out this video.
And see? Almost done. 1, 2, snaps. Onesies on. And your outfit. 1 foot in. Another foot in. See? We're done. That was quick. 1, 2. Another snap. 3. Another snap. 4. Another snap.
5, and 1 more 6, and 1 more 7. All done. We're gonna clean up your hands. It's gonna be a little bit cold. Hands, clean up, clean up, clean up. In our hand, clean up, clean up, clean up. Did I tickle you? Ha 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 ha. Uh-huh. Clean, 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 clean. All done.
Yeah, I just love that video. Like I said before, now she's counting the legs or the feet, the buttons. And also what's great is this baby is happy at the end. She kind of picks him up and he looks so like he's had a really nice diaper change. Right? And I read somewhere that diaper changing happens about 10 times a day.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. For the typical infant. So imagine you could have 10 opportunities every day to mathematize and also to have a really warm interaction with the baby. Just think of how they feel about that. They might look forward to diaper time, you know, and you could too as the caregiver. Another great strategy is to notice and respond. And what this means is simply that I as a teacher am looking at children and I'm noticing some of their what we call engagement cues. So are they touching or manipulating objects? Are they engaged kind of physically with objects? Are they looking at objects? Maybe they're interested or other people and what other people are doing. And are they talking about it? So what are they saying that may highlight that they're focused on a mathematical idea? And I think it's important as teachers, we typically are pretty responsive to children's verbal cues when they're talking. We may be less responsive to their nonverbal cues. So notice and respond is a really great strategy, and it's great to use, especially with children who are still developing verbal skills. I think it applies really nicely for dual language learners, especially. These are children who may come into our programs and they're going through a quiet or a silent time as they, acquire new language or get used to the language. However, they're probably engaged in a lot of mathematical thinking and activity. And we need to notice when they're maybe doing something nonverbal, but they're manipulating objects, they're watching something. So noticing, taking a moment, and responding by drawing out those mathematical ideas with our language. And having kind of maybe starting a little conversation with the child or just providing the language.
I love the idea of that because especially for dual language learners, that's acknowledging that the knowledge is already there. Like it's on me as the teacher to notice that, to take a moment, observe, see what's going on and figure out how I connect and get in touch with what's already there.
Exactly. So we have a little bit of a different role as teacher to build on children's knowledge as well as maybe give them some new information.
I think another thing teachers often notice is behavior. That rises to the top quite often, it seems. And because of that, on the show, we wanted to include something called a behavior management minute. We're talking about adding some math to transitions. So in this picture, you see that there are numbers in a line, and this is where children line up to go outside for recess. And so the numbers are all in order. It's giving children to do something during transition. And when teachers first introduce this, you have to definitely set the expectations and remind them how to do it. But they quickly become independent in this because they can line up on those numbers and it gives them something to do during transition. So then behavior gets a little bit easier because transitions often, they might have a lot going on.
Stressful.
Unless children have something to do, and this gives them something to do and add some counting.
I think that's a great idea.
Thanks.
And we have one more teacher practice to share with you today, and it's called Circle Time Magic. And Circle Time Magic is a quick, helpful tip for circle time. So check out this video about counting during circle time.
So who's not here then?
Nail.
Just Nail. You guys are so right. Just Nail Aziz. So how many people are absent today?
One.
Just one person. Just one person. Do we have all 15 then? No, we can't have all 15, Mariah. If someone is absent, we won't have all 15. Who wants to guess how many we have all together? A guess. A guess. Who's going to make a guess? Yes, Paris.
A 1 and a 2.
You think we have a 1 and a 2. What's this number, 1 and a 2? 12. Okay, you think we have 12. How many do you think we have today?
1 and 5. 1 and
You think there
5.
are 5 boys. Zenobia, just a moment. There are 5 boys, you said. Okay.
1 and 5.
How many do you think we have all together?
1 and 5.
Skylin? You think there are how many? Oh, 15 boys. You think we're all boys today? Wow, guys, she thinks there are 15 boys. Let's count, okay? Let's count together to see how many we have all here. I'm going to count with you. Ready? Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And if Xavier was here, he would be 14. How do I write 14? That would be 15. That would be 12. Listen to my clue. 14. So I should write 1. Someone's. Who told you? Your brain told you? That's a super thinker. You're a super thinker. 1 and the 4, Miracle said. That is the number 14. What's this number? 14.
That teacher did such a great job of really making counting meaningful while they're at Circle, because it was related to what they were doing and it made sense, like it was applied in that situation. It was so helpful. Well, Soleil, thank you for being with us. We appreciate all of your time and your efforts preparing this. We understand a little bit more about development. We've got some strategies to try out. So thank you.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
So now that we know some strategies, let's check out some materials to use in early childhood settings in our next segment called Try It Out. Our coworker who has been the director at 2 different centers, a preschool teacher and recent new mom, Kelly Heikkila, is bringing us some materials and sharing ideas on how to use those. So we're very excited to hear from her.
Hi, Kelly.
Hi, Dawn. How are you guys?
We're good. Look at all this stuff.
Yes, I brought some great math materials for you guys. I know that we are learning all about math.
Yes.
Yes, so I'm just going to walk you through some really great practical math materials that everybody can add to their centers or their classrooms. So first, we're going to start out with this really fun, great, big, huge inflatable dice, which are super high interest. They're really enticing to children, both younger and older. So you can use these in lots of different ways with younger children, practicing throwing the dice. As they get a little bit older, the one-to-one correspondence, counting through them. When they get a little bit older, using the traditional way, rolling it, counting, adding up. A great way you can do this is bring this outside.
Oh, yeah.
And so because they are like beach ball material, it's great to do outside. It doesn't get ruined. Another great idea is adding in some tallying for them. So for those who are a little bit older, you know, rolling your dice, writing down what you get, possibly adding or subtracting with it is a great way to help enhance that as well.
That's great. So kids are taking turns.
Yes, definitely.
We're adding math outside.
Math outside.
And I love that these can be used in family childcare settings with mixed age groups. That's so great. And you know, you can actually make your own dice.
Ooh.
Check out this video on how to do that.
So the next thing I brought are some counting collection materials, which everybody likes to collect things. So this is a super high interest activity for a lot of children. The first thing I'm going to talk about are some natural objects. Going outside, walking, doing a nature walk, collecting things. Everybody likes to collect things and bring them inside. So these are just some pine cones that we've collected from outside. And so we've collected them, and then you can bring them inside. And I just have a muffin tin. We all have muffin tins. And you're sorting them, you're putting them in, and then you're able to count and you're able to see how many you have.
That's right.
So that's a great way to do that.
One-to-one correspondence.
Exactly, some one-to-one
Very
correspondence. And it doesn't have to be pine cones, it can be rocks, it can be sticks, it can be leaves, it can be whatever,
they want.
the child finds. Yep, exactly.
Or that you can handle in the classroom.
Yes, true, and is maybe safe. There's also the traditional like dinosaur counters. So these are just dinosaur ones that you can buy, everywhere. And another great way to collect them is in an egg carton. So you also have, there's certain spot for each one, so you're easily able to see how many you have. Right. And again, most people have egg cartons at home that you can easily use too.
And this is both 12. No, I'm talking about it, right? Like we talked about different arrays of things. We've got 2 sets of 6, 3 sets of 4.
Yes, exactly. It's the same amount, but it gets to different numbers, definitely.
Different visual representation.
Yes, definitely. Another great thing is this is just some art materials, some pom-poms, and I have a hundreds chart that we've just printed out. It's super easy, find everywhere online, and you can just take some pom-poms, and it's also kind of a fine motor activity, and lay them on top of each of the numbers, so you can visually see how many you can get to use to get to 100.
Well, and then if you've got older children, maybe they persist through that whole activity, like they see 100.
Exactly. Like, oh, this is, you think this might be 100, but will they all fit on there? Yeah, definitely. Estimation, adding in some other aspects too. The next couple of things I have help with transitions, and so these are just some song cards that I printed from online. Nothing fancy. We just laminated them. I have 5 green and speckled frogs and the ants go marching are the 2 that I have printed, and I just poked a hole in it, and you can put it on, a belt loop, have it with you for transitions, readily available. Another great thing is if you have substitute teachers, you can have these ready for them. So that's a great way to help with transitions.
Great way to mathematize those transitions.
Exactly. Another great way for mathematizing transitions is having a whiteboard. Most of us have whiteboards. Sometimes our transitions get a little bit long during like hand washing or bathroom time, so you can have it like a question of the day. You can have a who likes what more, and you can have kids vote on which are their favorite. Then you're able to count, compare and contrast the numbers.
Love that.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, maybe even special helper of the day.
Oh,
can we ask
totally.
those questions, take that over?
Yep, definitely. So that's another great thing that has lots of different ways to do that.
Kelly, that's so helpful, because today we've been trying to give some strategies and some ideas of how you can add more counting opportunities. Here's a ton.
Yes.
Hopefully you've got some that you want to try out in your early learning environments. Thank you so much, Kelly.
Absolutely.
Hi, my name is Theodolise. I'm a CAPE correspondent. I love math. It is my favorite subject in school. Today, I want to show you a video of math in action. Roll it!
Okay, let's see what happened next. Oh, they said they had 1 driver, they had 2 ladders, they had 3 holes, 4 flashlights, 5 helmets, 6 wheels, and we know the wheels on the bus go what? Round and round.
So we need 3, okay, good job. So Isaiah, give us 3. You got them in your hand, Isaiah. What else is he looking for? Put them. 1, 2, and then here. What's that? 3. And what are you guys supposed to say to Isaiah?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to get the counting now, and then you can do it. Who is going first? Okay, Asma. Yeah. Wow, how many? 5. Can I do it 5? Police. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thank you.
Shampoo.
Should we do it together?
Spanish.
En español, 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, al otro lado, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Somali kan standard. Amina, ma taqaanaa Soomaali? Imise way halkan ku jira imisa xisaabi hadda. Kow, no, speak. Okay. Haye, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh. Nah, so.
2,
6, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10. Oh, thank you.
Wow, it looks like they had fun doing math. Wait a sec. I have math that I have to do. See ya!
Hi, Kristen.
Dawn, how are you?
I'm great.
Hi, Virginia.
Hello.
Oh, so excited to be here.
We are so glad you're here. We're ready to talk about some books.
We are. I'm really excited to show you what I brought today. So I have some classic counting books, but I also have some books that are not necessarily classic counting books, but that can be used to count, right? Used to mathematize. I love that word, mathematize.
I know what that means now.
Right, exactly. Okay, so I'm going to show you this first one. It is a classic counting book. It is called Fish Eyes.
Yeah.
So the illustrations are really, really pretty and engaging for young kids, right? The dark blue background with all the colors. So it's really a great book that can be used for all ages. So here, easy counting, 2 jumping fish. Young children can count the fish. They can count the dots on the fish.
Yes.
But down here in the corner, it says 2 jumping fish plus me makes 3. So kids who are a little bit older may be ready for doing some math equations. You can extend this. So this is a really great book for multiple ages in your setting.
That's so wonderful. It goes so well with what Soleil was talking about with combining and separating and learning those concepts.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that's a really, really great one.
Well, and what a great family childcare book.
Yes.
Right? Like it keeps giving in multiple ways, even if as an infant you liked it, but then you like it again later on because you're still using it and still in that same center.
That's right. That's right. It keeps on giving. Okay, Romeo and Juliet as a counting book.
Shakespeare.
Right, yes. So in your setting, this is a super one to have because it is a classic counting book, right? So there's 1 balcony, lots of really great language here. It's also really, really fun because the colors are beautiful. 7 masks here. The children can count the masks, but they can also count like the feathers on top of the mask or lots of different things.
I've got sets of 2, like we can skip count.
Yes, sets of 2, right? 2 eye holes in the mask. So that's a really, really great book. And exposing
Yes, Romeo and Juliet.
Romeo and Juliet. Okay, for very young kids. So here, these next 2 are books that are not classic counting books, but that can be mathematized.
Okay.
So this one, we all have this in our bookshelves, right? So this is a really fun one for little children. The texture right here of the chick brings lots of kids in, but it's also really easy to count. Really easy to count. So there's definitely some books that would lend themselves more to mathematizing than others if they weren't classic counting books. That's one of them.
So if I'm looking for some books that are non-math books to mathematize, I might look for something that's high interest.
Right.
Like I want to touch it.
Right.
And it may lend itself well to some counting through the pictures.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. Maybe some, discrete pictures that are a little easier to isolate. All right, so these next 3 books are English and different languages. So this is not a counting book, but it is a English and Chinese book about fruit, right? So here we've got some really, really pretty pictures, really easy to count. We've got 3 apples, we've got 2 oranges, you've got the Chinese character and the English word right here. Again, really easy to use as a counting book.
And parts of a whole.
Parts of a whole, right? Right? We can talk about we have 1 1/2.
Yes.
Right? Lots of great math there. Okay, these next 2 are really, really fun. So we've got 1, 2, 3, go, which is counting and words in English and
Chinese. We've also got this one, Prairie Dog Goes to School, which is the language of Lakota people in Lakota, and English. And both of these books show keys. Yeah, if you would open that one up to the back. So these show keys. So we'll show this one here. We've got the numbers here. We've got the Chinese characters and then how to pronounce the word. So if you are a teacher like myself who doesn't speak Chinese, I can do it right here. I can still learn how to say those numbers.
I love that teacher cue that's already just in the book, ready for me to use.
Yes, exactly. It's a really, really great way. And the illustrations here are beautiful, right? So another one, we want to look at books that have really high interest for kids, that are really pretty, really, really pretty illustrations. Easy to count there.
Well, and I love that point you made about counting books being something that's universal. Like we count in every language.
Yes.
Absolutely. We count in every language, right? So that's an easy way to bring in all the kids, right? Because everybody's counting, everybody's learning how to count.
Absolutely.
And even if I don't have kids that speak Lakota, or I don't speak Lakota, or I can't speak Chinese, I've got all English speakers in my classroom. I still want to have these books.
Yes.
Because then I'm doing some exposure and I'm introducing new language, another language, and that gives you such a great way to do that.
Right. It's a really, really easy way to expose kids in a way that lots and lots of kids can be, can access that kind of information.
Great counting.
Okay, these last two are maybe for kids who are maybe 3, 4, 5, who might be ready for a little bit more. So this one is a really fun book. It's called The Real Princess, and it's got a mathematical tale. So it's a take on The Princess and the Pea. So this, you'll remember The Princess and the Pea, but the fun thing about this is that there's not been one word of this book that has been overlooked in terms of using math vocabulary. There's Prince Primo, right? And thinking about Italian word for one. There's Princess Calculetta and Princess Geometria. So this is a really, really fun one. In the back, Dawn, it's got all these great questions. So how many windows can you see on the castle? How many gold coins does each of the king's bag contain? So right there, you can extend it.
I've already got my conversation starters.
Some tips and some cues right there ready for you to use.
Yeah. Easy, makes it really easy. Okay, my last book is really a fun book. So this is called 100 Hungry Ants. And this, there's something about the number 100.
It's a big number.
That kids love. They love the number 100 when they learn how many ways they can count to 100. Yeah. So this is basically combining and separating, right? So this is, all these ants are going to a picnic. They are figuring out ways to get there that is the fastest way. And so they can go in 2 rows of 50, or they can go in 4 rows of 25. Wow. So it's just a really great way, and then they all mix around and make up new ways to make up the number 100.
What a great 100th day of school book.
It's a great 100th day of school book, right? Really fun. So there you have it. My favorite counting books.
Thank you so much, Kristen.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's so wonderful. Ready to use them.
Ready to use. Great. There you go.
Well, thanks for joining us today. We heard lots about why math is so important. We know that math is more than counting. We've got subitizing, cardinality, one-to-one correspondence is more than 1, 2, 3.
Yes, it is.
We heard a little bit about what number sense is like for infants, toddlers, and preschoolers. And we learned what it means to go mathematize. So let's go do it.
Yes, go do it. We hope you're leaving inspired and refreshed with new ideas to improve your teaching practices around math.
We'd also love to get your feedback. So there is an evaluation knowledge check available on the website next to this video. And if you complete it, you can also receive STARS credit for it. So please do so.
Thank you for joining our Circle Time with us.
Wait a sec. I have to keep learning some more. Bye. Today I want to show you a video of math in action. Roll it.